Good morning, everybody. So today, I'm probably not going to be that long, but I wanted to talk a little bit about fasting and cleansing. Obviously, we cleanse here with isogenics, and I just want to talk about the different ways of fasting and cleansing, and then go a little bit deeper as to why some of us do it. It may be more for like spiritual reasons for some of us, and physical, clearly. So one of the things that I wanted to mention just about fasting in general. First off, my little story, before I found isogenics, I was trying a lot of different things. I was researching nutrition. And one of the things that I discovered was the concept of intermittent fasting. And so many people were saying that it was, really good for you. And the way that they described it to me was that I should basically not eat until afternoon. So stop eating early and then wait, right? So that's what I was doing for a while. But I don't think I really had the results because I wasn't also then kind of changing my regular diet into being healthier. So when I would eat, I would sort of be like, I'd be eating everything, which is not a good idea. One of the actual benefits for fasting in general, I'm reading this from an article. This is not necessarily what isogenics says. However, it's actually true. Is this. There's 10 evidence-based health benefits for intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting changes the function of cells, genes, and hormones. So when you don't eat for a while, several things happen to your body. For example, your body initiates important cellular repair processes, and it changes hormone levels to make stored body fat more accessible. So here are some of the changes that occur in your body during fasting. Insulin levels, blood levels of insulin drop significantly, which facilitates the fat burning. Not everybody fasts, by the way, just for weight loss, to make things clear. It's oftentimes a regular practice and something that people want to do just for overall health. Human growth hormone, the blood levels of growth hormone may increase as much as 5-fold. Higher levels of this hormone facilitate fat burning and muscle gain and have numerous other benefits. So that's something that's amazing. Cellular repair. The body induces important cellular repair processes such as removing waste materials from cells. That's why they call even what we do with isogenics a cellular cleanse, because we're incorporating this intermittent fasting with the proprietary blend of the aloe vera and everything that's within the apple cider vinegar, whatever, inside of the drink of Cleanse for Life. It reduces the inflammation and stuff within your cells. But it's also not just the product, it's the actual fasting itself. Gene expression. There are beneficial changes in several genes and molecules related to longevity and protection against diseases. So these are important. So the bottom line is when you fast, insulin levels drop and human growth hormones increase. Your cells also initiate important cellular repair processes and change which genes they express. So that's important. So intermittent, number 2. So that number 1 was intermittent fasting changes the function of cells, genes, and hormones. Number 2, intermittent fasting can help you lose weight and belly fat. I'm sure that some of us are aware of that, and maybe one of the reasons why some of us started with this. Okay, here goes Ladybug barking in the morning. Okay, so we try it, basically we're utilizing fewer calories. Okay, Ladybug. It is, and as we mentioned, it enhances the hormone function to facilitate weight loss. Short-term fasting actually increases your metabolic rate by somewhere between 3 and 14%, helping you burn even more calories. Ladybug, Wow. So in other words, intermittent fasting works on both sides of the calorie equation. It boosts your metabolic rate, so increases calories out, and reduces the amount of food you eat, which clearly reduces the calories taking in. So and I'm just going to go fast from this. In a nutshell, intermittent fasting, because you're eating fewer calories, obviously you're going to lose weight, but it's also boosting metabolism slightly. So it's a very effective tool to lose weight, and specifically the belly fat. So, for those of you who are relatively new, I'll talk a little bit about the different ways we can cleanse with Isagenix, but this aspect of intermittent fasting, one of the things that I loved about Isagenix when I first heard about it was that they already incorporate intermittent fasting, and they've done studies on it. So I really like that. So number 3, intermittent fasting can reduce insulin resistance, lowering your risk of type 2 diabetes. Now, what we know is that Isagenix doesn't say that their products can, cure, treat, or diagnose or anything of any kind of disease. But what is out there in studies is about intermittent fasting, which is part of the Isagenix system, right? So we can say with intermittent fasting that there's been studies that type 2 diabetes has become incredibly common. It's more common, and the main feature of high blood sugar levels in the context of insulin resistance. So anything that reduces insulin resistance should help lower blood sugar levels and then protect against that type 2 diabetes. So intermittent fasting has been shown to have major benefits for insulin resistance and lead to an impressive reduction in blood sugar levels. So, and there's been many studies about intermittent fasting where the blood sugar has been reduced like over 3%, while fasting insulin has been reduced by 20 to 31%. So fasting blood sugar, obviously reduces, but while fasting insulin has been reduced by 20 to 31%, if that makes sense. So basically, intermittent fasting can reduce insulin resistance and lower blood sugar levels, at least, more specifically even in men. So if you have a husband or somebody out there who's struggling with this, please try to encourage them to do intermittent fasting, although sometimes some of them, it's harder to get them to do that, but I'm just saying. Maybe if they know the facts. And I also read one where it was JAMA Oncology that if you fast 13 hours, and I'll talk about that in a minute, every single night, so end eating earlier, eat breakfast later, that reduces your risk of breast cancer significantly. Okay, so intermittent fasting can reduce oxidative stress and inflammation in the body. So oxidative stress is one of the steps toward aging and chronic disease. It involves unstable molecules called, they're free radicals, and they react with other important molecules like protein and DNA, and then they start to break them down and damage them. So several studies show that intermittent fasting may actually enhance the body's resistance to the oxidative stress. And then other studies show that intermittent fasting can help fight inflammation. Another I'm reading a little bit here. Another key driver of all sorts of common diseases. Okay, so the bottom line is, regarding stress, is that intermittent fasting can reduce the oxidative stress that comes with aging specifically, and the inflammation in the body that we had mentioned before. So it should have benefits with aging and possible development of numerous diseases. So again, remember, I'm talking about intermittent fasting, not specifically about Isagenix products. However, because intermittent fasting is part of our system, and then we enhance it with the proper nutrition, it all goes hand in hand so well, right? So, it's easy to say that, Isagenix products did this, but we don't ever want to say this. But we want to say is that Isagenix has done studies on intermittent fasting, and they've done studies on, our bodies and all of these things within our bodies, and how that practice within the system can work to your benefit. So I've got a couple different points. I'm going to kind of go fast through this, sorry, but intermittent fasting, number 5, is beneficial to your heart health. We know that heart disease is common, right? So Studies show that intermittent fasting can improve numerous risk factors with heart disease, such as blood pressure, cholesterol levels, triglycerides, and inflammatory markers. Okay, 6, and intermittent fasting induces various cellular repair processes. I love this. So when you're sort of stalling the, let's say, the regular typical digestion process or whatever, what you're doing is that you're also increasing various cellular repair processes, which is amazing. I mean, it's hard to believe that like the cells themselves have like gunk on them that needs to be released so that they can move faster. Okay, intermittent fasting may help prevent cancer. There are studies that may help prevent cancer, and I'll talk about it. Fasting's been shown to have several beneficial effects on metabolism that may lead to reduced risk of cancer. Although human studies are needed, promising evidence from the animals indicate that intermittent fasting may help prevent cancer. There's also evidence on human cancer patients showing that fasting reduces various side effects of chemotherapy. And I'll tell you one study that I know off the top of my head. Dr. Walter Longo, Valter Longo, has a diet that he calls the longevity diet. And within that, he suggests a 5-day fast around the time of chemo. Like, you all have to study this, but there are many doctors, oncologists, and other people that are using this now. But they say that one of the reasons it's helping these patients not only reduce the inflammation and reduce the activity of the cancer cells, this is what his study says, but also if you do the opposite of what most doctors have been telling people to eat and eat and eat before their chemo, but if you actually fast before and fast after, then actually what they've noticed is that clearly if there is some kind of chemical treatment that they're using, that it can be more effective, but also that the patient recovers quicker because then they're able to come back and eat after a certain amount of time. So it's basically making the cancer sort of die down, and then in addition, whatever their treatment is helping to eradicate it. So you should look into that if you're wanting any more information about chemo and dieting or fasting. The longevity diet. Okay, so intermittent fasting is good for your brain also. So bottom line, and I could talk more about this, but I'm trying to kind of not rush through it because I have some more things to say, but I want to kind of run through these 10 points first. Intermittent fasting may be an important benefit of health, brain health. It may increase growth of new neurons. That is so exciting, and prevent brain damage. So intermittent fasting, number 9, may help prevent Alzheimer's disease. Again, Isagenix is not saying their products does that, but intermittent fasting and the studies of Alzheimer's have been amazing. Alzheimer's disease, it's the world's most common neurological disease. So they say there's no cure, right? My mother is struggling with that right now, near her final days on this planet. She's in hospice, so we're seeing that firsthand. So preventing it from showing up in the first place clearly is critical. So a study in rats show that intermittent fasting may delay the onset of Alzheimer's or reduce its severity. So in several cases, a lifestyle intervention that included daily short-term fast was able to significantly improve Alzheimer's symptoms in 9 out of 10 patients. That's a huge number. So animal studies also suggest that fasting may protect against other neurodegenerative diseases, including Parkinson's and Huntington's disease. They still need to do research, they're saying, but studies in animals suggest that intermittent fasting may be protective against neurological diseases like Alzheimer's. That's the conclusion. Okay, so number 10, this is it. Intermittent fasting may extend your lifespan and help you live longer. So I won't go into that, but because that's sort of self-explanatory. So the one thing that I wanted to say is that, with Isagenix, we have basically, we have the cleanse, and what's recommended is a 2-day cleanse. I'm cleansing today. So although they kind of recommend a 1-day as well, but when I started in 2013, it was always the 48-hour cleanse. So you would clearly take the Cleanse for Life products, reduce your calorie intake to minuscule. You're not drinking shakes. You can have the chocolates. You can, if you had a real problem, you could take little pieces of apples. Just, there's all these different ways and different theories on what you should ingest, but basically you're drinking. So I like the 48-hour cleanse. That's what I'm doing right now. And I would do it 2 or 3 times a month when I was trying to lose 42 pounds. And I felt really great. You can also do like a 1-day cleanse, which is great. And then there's the daily cleansing, which I highly recommend on top of everything. So if you are doing a 2-day cleanse or a 1-day cleanse, try to work in your habits, ending dinner earlier. Am I good at this all the time? I've been really bad and been adding the shakes like late at night. And so I've got to kind of work on that. But if you stop eating early and then eat your breakfast later, like even work out a little fasted, maybe you can have a little drink, like an e-shot or something, ionics, to kind of get you into the gym or whatever. Suck on a snack, one of those snacks. And then just fast. I mean, that's a really good practice to do. So what we know is that physically fasting, which is part of our isogenics protocol, we know that there's lots and lots of studies about how good this is physically for you. And before I go off, I want to spend like just 5 or 10 minutes talking to you also about the spiritual aspects of fasting. So historically and biblically, we see so many stories within the Bible about, Jesus fasting, Moses fasting, Elijah fasting, Daniel fasting, Paul fasting. And for them, I can't say, because I don't know, I'm not a scholar of the Bible, if they've mentioned the physical benefits to fasting in the Bible, but it certainly is clear that, number one, it was religious practice, with the early Jews or whatever, but also the fast was used for breakthrough spiritually and circumstantially. So in Christian culture nowadays, you'll see, like most often in January, many churches heading into sort of this corporate fast. Sometimes it's a Daniel fast where they're like all on water and lemon, and I don't know how they do just the water fast. But the bottom line is that the spiritual reason why a lot of people will go into fasting is because they're looking for breakthrough. And I will tell you that there is something that I believe that does happen when you get your focus off of food and really into, let's say, praying, affirmations, meditations, contending for whatever your breakthrough is. If it's a financial breakthrough, if it's a relational issue between spouses or your children, if it's a conflict, that you want to pray for your country or whatever and fast. It's amazing how you can feel, there's this aspect of atonement even, which is it was a fast day that was commanded by God in the Bible, right? For atonement. So I will say that what's really cool is if you can start to think, because isogenics, we have that course, Healthy Mind and Body. I mean, they really do want to take into consideration your mind and your heart and your spiritual life and having this really just enhance your life in general. So fasting, if you can take your cleanse day, this is what I do, and make it into sort of a day of fasting. What's the difference? It's sort of like fasting is continuing to withhold food, but then intentionally contending for maybe some kind of breakthrough. So if you want a breakthrough in your business, and I would just spend some time praying, you just carve some time out to pray about something that is specific, use, scripture or use some quotes or affirmations for that breakthrough. Some people, they continue to fast until they have that breakthrough. So what it can look like with isogenics is clearly just going on a 30-day system, making sure that you're doing 2 or more, 2 or 3, maybe 48-hour cleanses within a 30-day period, but then stick to the regimen of a couple shakes and a meal. Some people will fast off of technology in addition to this. Some people will fast off of something else. It's sort of like being able to just kind of withhold something that you're typically not aware that you're maybe, really that that's falling into the carnality of your life, like the more physical, like you have to have that physically, so that you can get out of that and really focus on sort of the spiritual breakthrough. So for me, fasting and cleansing are not always hand in hand, because a cleanse can just be me withholding food and not really thinking, like not really going there, right? But I want to encourage all of you guys to understand that what is so cool about the isogenic system is that it's taking the intermittent fasting, which has proven and studied health benefits, and there's more studies coming out, and this is even in medical and scientific areas. I mean, that's where they're studying the stuff. So it's taking that, applying also some science-based nutrition in there, which we do have with isogenics. So sort of like surfing on this evidence of health benefits, adding in the nutritional components of something really clean, right? And then on top of that, if you can add, what you need for your breakthrough, I mean, it's powerful stuff. So I wanted to talk about it today because I kind of wanted to get a little bit more into the details, into the specifics about it, but also the fact that spiritually it's a really great practice. And if you are stuck with something, I will tell you, carving intentional time out to pray along with a fast. And if you're confused about that, then just take your regular meal times during the day when you're fasting and spend that time, praying or meditating, writing in a journal. I find that I get so much more work done. 2 days is great. However, I will say that, I have a couple of friends, especially I have one friend who's really struggling with a foster care situation. And she's going into, she says that she's going to be fasting until this breakthrough. What does that look like to her? Yes, she'll be cleansing, but she's cutting out, I think she's typically not a vegetarian. She's cutting out meat. She's cutting out technology because she just wants to pray. And she's going to be on the mat praying for this breakthrough for as long as it takes. So that is what it looks like to her. And it could look, sometimes it takes longer and we need to kind of contend. So we're intentionally reaching out to God to say, look, this is what I'm doing, and making time to like have that intimate space with him, and taking away the food and our kind of carnal desires, whether it's our technology or our habits or whatever that we're doing, will just help. So I'm grateful for isogenics because of all of the liquid benefits. I can use Cleanse for Life. Of course, I can drink water. I can also drink ionics. I can drink an e-shot. I can, so I can go liquid. I mean, if you think about it, we could probably go liquid. They're not recommending that you just go all the way liquid, but let's say you're going for like a liquid fast for a while. The idea of water and lemon, although people have had water fasts before, the studies just go to show that it's not necessarily physically as great for your body. However, some people may try that. I just like the aspect of being able to have something in my pantry that I can put into water that still is going to help my body while I'm maybe contending for a breakthrough in my life. So do you guys have any other questions before I kind of head off? But yeah, I wanted to kind of to talk about that. And I guess because I'm cleansing too, I'm drinking some water. I took my little cleanse. I still have to get my ionics and then an e-shot in, and then I will be praying, but I'm also going to the DMV. Doesn't everybody do that during a fast?